thank you everybody for joining this amazing panel discussion. To briefly introduce myself, my name is Chloe Ford-Welman and I'm the director of the Hala Foundation, which is a charitable organization based in the UK and Kenya. Our organization's mission is to combine the power of people and nature and technology to share sustainable livelihood solutions with communities and smallholder farmers around the world. I'm privileged to serve as the moderator for today's conversation, featuring our three remarkable African activists. Speaking today, we have Asha Jaffar, an award-winning journalist, communications specialist, activist, and creator of the award-winning Keeper of Food Drive, as well as an active trustee of the Hala Foundation. We're also joined by Kevin Mtai, who is a Kenyan climate defender and environmentalist. He is also the co-founder and global development director at Earth Uprising, and also co-founder of the Kenya Environmental Action Network. And last but not least, we also have Folorunsho Dayo Oluwafemi, the founder of the Initiative for Climate Change and Renewable Energy Advocacy in Nigeria. Our panelists are all beacons of inspiration. They've been dedicating their lives to sparking positive change and nurturing the fragile balance between humanity and nature. Their collective insights, initiatives, and experience serve as an incredible example of the innovative strategies that are shaping our world today, ensuring that food security, environmental conservation, and sustainability remains unwavering in the face of climate adversity. So I'm just going to pass it straight over to our panelists, who are going to be presenting some of their works, and then we're going to engage in a short panel discussion. So I'm delighted to kind of spark things off with Asha. I'll hand it over to you first. Thank you.
Oh, Chloe, did you say we should start introducing ourselves, or we should hold them?
If we wait, just let Asha present, and then Follow, you can go next, and then followed by Kevin, if that suits. But we'll go through kind of a 10-minute presentation each, presenting your work. So if Asha kicks things off, and then we can pass things around the speakers.
Okay.
That sounds okay.
No problem. That's very fine now. Thank you.
Perfect. Looking forward to seeing your presentations.
Okay.
So my name is Asha Jaffar, and I will be presenting about an initiative we started in 2020. It was a food-related project in sustaining families that had lost their jobs and sources of income during the COVID lockdown, or the height of COVID in early 2020. Next slide. Yes. The project was started in March 2020 after Kenya established its first COVID lockdown, or announced its first COVID case. And the project provided a means in which individuals and families could sustain themselves during the time of the economic uncertainty. And we were able to give food parcels every 2 weeks, and we were able to reach more than 10,000 destitute families in Kibera. For people who do not know about Kibera, Kibera is the largest slum in Africa, and it's found in Nairobi, Kenya. It's actually in the city center of Nairobi, Kenya. Next slide, please. Yes, and so how we did our campaign is we actually capitalized a lot on social media. So we used Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp groups that we used for fundraising. We also used the Kenyan version of GoFundMe. It's known as the Mchanga platform, to raise money to support families. And we were able to raise $40,000 that went into feeding the 10,000 families. And we were able to partner with community organizations. We were able to partner with activists. We were able to partner with human rights defenders. And as you can see, like that's a picture of me standing in front of the bags of food. And this picture was taken in 2020. And I used Twitter mostly as a form or as a way of me to like mobilize resources or to actually make people aware of what was happening on the ground. And so like the biggest challenge in running a community driven project sometimes is that it's keeping safe either from COVID or whatever you're fighting like against. And for us during that time, it was very difficult to keep ourselves safe and also like go and help people. Another challenge is more needs than what we could meet. So you find that Kibera has a population close to 1 million people, and we could only give 200 bags every other week. And so it was very difficult to actually sustain, the bigger number of people and to keep them fed every other week. And then the other challenge was strengthening community support systems by providing training that closes the gap through practical experience-based education, including financial literacy saving groups and formation and skills, because we saw that giving food every other time can be can be harmful in a way to some of the families we were helping, and we wanted to offer skills that could actually last longer and help them continue living a sustained life even if the project dies off. So we thought of saving groups. We tried to bring the women together. We have something in Kenya called a chama. Chama is like a merry-go-round where different women sit together and they collect money, and it's like it's a form of saving, but it's part of the informal economy. It's not very formal because money is not put in the bank. It's mostly like sent via M-Pesa. And we were able to offer financial literacy classes to people who are in the community, to teach them like if you earn, you can save and you can invest and do other things. And we were also able to offer skills that even during lockdown can help you, like plumbing and other skills like welding, things that can help you continue the life even if let's say construction sites are closed, you can't clean people's houses and stuff. So we try to do that, like we call them income generating activities that they're always there, and people are always needed for such jobs. Yeah. Yes, and so some of our achievements for the food drive is we were able to be featured on the New York Times twice. Yes, and then we were also featured on the National Geographic also. And both the stories were about us being able to feed a population of people living in COVID during very hard times, because most people are focusing on writing about COVID, being difficult for mostly people who have it was not mostly focused on people who are living in the slums. It was not focused on people who have no savings and could not sustain themselves. It was only focused on the health aspect, which was very important, but most people forgot about. So if people are locked in the house, where are they going to get food? So these stories featured that. And also, I personally won the Africans Rising Activist of the Year award, specifically for running the food drive. Yes, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asha, for that presentation. It's incredible to see some of the work that you've been doing in Nairobi. Yeah, really fantastic. And I think that vision for kind of ensuring that there's long-term financial security is absolutely key, on top of everything else that you're doing. So thank you for sharing those works. Folorunsho, I'll pass it over to you if you're ready. I've shared your presentation with the team, so I think they'll be able to present again on your behalf.
Okay, I believe we can do that now. Thank you. Good day, everyone. Greetings from Nigeria. It's morning here in Nigeria. Thank you, the hosts and the speaker and every other panelist joining. My name is Folorunsho Dayo Oluwafemi. I'm the founder of Initiative for Climate Change and Renewable Energy Advocacy. And I'm here this morning to tell you about what we do in my organization. My organization is located in Northeast Nigeria, Taraba State, Jalingo to be precise. We advocate and talk about climate change, tree planting, also youth empowerment, women empowerment in various places, and out also to find a way to, to bring solutions to food security and encourage people in rural communities to as well choose renewable energy as alternative source of energy in all what they are doing. I would like to give a short presentation today, which is about climate change, food security, interconnection between climate change and food security and sustainability. Please, the next slide. What is climate change? Climate change is the change in pattern of weather occurring over a period of time. It is the rise in surface temperature on Earth mainly due to human activities. Yes, I believe this is just a simple format of a definition of climate change, whereby there's other global definition of climate change and how the world itself can understand more about it. I'll be sharing my own activities at which we've been doing about climate change here. My organization is in partnership with some local NGOs as well, as long as we want tree planted. These are some of the activities we go on to do to carry out climate change advocacy in schools, on radio stations, and as well in rural communities, and as well carry out climate change mark and sensitization programs within the states and within Northeast Nigeria. And this has been a very big challenge, but it's just that most of the time, Africa, especially in Nigeria, has been one of the countries that has been facing the difficulty when it comes to climate change, especially in aspect of food security. Next slide, please. We're talking about food security. According to the FOA, food security can be said to exist when all people at all times have physical, social, economical access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, which meets their dietary needs and food preference for active and healthy life. Yes, that we can say that's when our food is being secured, that we have food security. But you and I know that Africa is facing a lot when it comes to food security, especially like Somalia, Sudan, and the northern and the eastern part of Africa. Nigeria also is facing one of the big challenges of food security, because Nigeria is known as one of the most populous nation in Africa and the most populous Black nation in the world, which has about 200 million people. And food security has been one of our challenges due to the effect of climate change in various lands. People cannot farm any longer. The soil are not fertile, and there have been erosion and flood in different villages and different communities. As you can see, some of our activities to prevent food security, to ensure food security in our community is as follows, whereby we visit some women in rural communities by giving them fruit trees plants, and for them to nurture it and also to be able to use it later in their various homes. This idea came in by, we decided to okay, if we decide to give fruit tree plants, fruit is one thing we cannot go away with, which is natural itself. And we are able to empower, sensitize the women after the sensitization of climate change in the various communities, and we decided to give them fruit trees plants, and they would plant along with them. We're also able to take the latitude or geographical location of these where these trees are being planted. Next slide, please. The intersection between climate change and food security. You and I know that climate change and food security go in hand in hand. The effect of climate change has brought a lot of the insufficiency of food security. Of recent, the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has declared state of emergency for food security in Nigeria due to the aspect of the lot of lack of access to food and farming in some other parts of Nigeria, and where the northern part of Nigeria, which has always been the food basket of the country, they are experiencing a lot of climate change crisis and as well as social and insecurity. This has caused a lot, and the reason that has been a lot issues when it comes to food security in the country. It's as I said, climate change is the major threat on food security, and this impact of food security is in the following ways: reduce crops yield. Yes, climate change has reduced crops yields due to flooding, due to erosion, due to lack of rain. Like where we are now, the weather has always is not like before any longer, whereby the farmers, even themselves, without ideas of what is happening, unless some of them that we've been able to sensitize, I begin to understand the effect of climate change, and I begin to try to look for hybrid seedlings that can withstand climate change, that can resist climate change and erosion and some other activities. And as well, it has reduced the fruit yield. That was what I told you, that we are not having the expected yield, which ought to come out after planting by the farmers. And destruction of farmland, yes. Erosion, and last year in northeast Nigeria, some states has experienced flooding in their various farms, and the farmers lost a lot, whereby some farmers cannot even get back to their feet due to the due to the cause of climate change, erosion, and also they are also experiencing lots of flood in some of these areas. Destruction of farmlands, poor soil fertility, yes. Just like what I can see, there are some areas here in the north, whereby also in the south, also in Somalia and Ethiopia, whereby they are experiencing flood and droughts. This drought has killed the soil fertility, whereby the farmers themselves cannot be able to plant and able to get any yield from their farmland. Insecurity, yes. Insecurity has been an issue in Africa and West Africa as well, whereby it has been a pact that the government has taken it as its number one task to fight insecurity, because some of these farmers, whenever they go to farm, the experience of whereby attackers from either the herders or other farmers or other terrorist group that has been an issue to the environment, and has scare away these farmers to leave their farmlands and their community to a safer place. This has also contributed to the cause of lack of food, and the climate change. Climate change itself is also eating deep, and the adaptation of SDG. Some of the SDGs that has been adapted has been one of the best, has been helping us. Okay, I think I won't speak more on that. The next slide, please. Next slide, please. I will speak on that when it comes to the solutions. Okay, solutions to the impacts of climate change and food security. I just tried to highlight some of these solutions about climate change and food security, which is promoting sustainable climate resilience agricultural practice, such as agroforestry, conservation agriculture, and water management. Yes, some of these solutions that I've been able to brainstorm and do research on, and what I think is going to really work out here in the region and also in parts of the world is, when you look at the water management and the conservation and agroforestry, these are some of the aspects whereby we can look for how to go into irrigation farming and see how to help the farmers to control the dams. Whenever the dams are overfull, we sensitize them, we enlighten them and let them know the actions and as well that is going to take place. Research development of improved crop variety. Yes, I said it earlier that it will be helpful for the scientists to help farmers with crops that can resist or stand climate change and flood in various places, for us to be able to have a food security, because some of these crops that we have nowadays cannot withstand some of the climate change crisis, some of the climate change occurrences that is happening. Whereby I'm also be speaking on the partnership collaboration. Partnership collaboration is one thing we cannot do away with, which is under the SDG. The aspect of partnership for us to be able to combat and overcome the aspect of climate change and food security all over the world have to come in aspect whereby the world leaders, all of us have to come in an occasion like this. We have to speak and also for us to know what is happening in our mind and how to see to create solutions to different aspects. If I will speak more, I will also be speaking more on some crises that has been happening, and I will want the world powers as well to use this, that the only way to go down in places like Africa is dialogue. Dialogue is the only thing that can come along and partnership for us to be able to get a result, a everlasting results, a sustainable result here in Africa. Embracing the use of renewable energy. Yes, my organization as well has visited various communities whereby some community that doesn't have access to national grid, whereby we introduce the use of solar lamp and solar energy to them in those communities. And this has also helped and bring opportunities to these women to be solar entrepreneurs and climate change ambassadors, and also to be able to help their husband and their household by providing for them in one way or the other through our partners that we introduce to them in the solar business. The next slide, please. In conclusion, in order for us to address the challenges of climate change and food security, we acquire a multifaceted and integrated approach involving governments, civil society, and private sector. By working together, it is possible to build a more resilient and sustainable food system that can meet the needs of the present and the future generation. Yes, one of what I always advocate for is the future generation. As you can see, this is my organization with other partners and with other core members and with the government representative here in Nigeria, whereby we come together to partner to carry out a sensitization program and roadmap program, whereby we want to see how to solve the climate issue, to create awareness, and as well to partner to bring in opportunities to the women, and also to see how to provide solution to food security and climate change in our region. Partnership is what we, as I said earlier, that we have to look for a way to work together, to be as one, and also to see how we can all work together. As the world was able to fight COVID-19, let us come together as well, be able to fight climate change. We know we cannot win the war totally, but it's a gradual process, which I believe with partnership with the government and with the world powers as well is going to help us to go a very long way. Please conclude, and the next slide, please. Yeah, I'm trying to show you some of our activities that we carried out in some of these rural economy, rural areas and rural places. I just tried to pick 1 or 2 pictures or 3 pictures for us to see. This is a sensitization program going on in government school, and these are fruit tree planting in some of these villages whereby we visit and to see how we've been able to reduce the impact of climate change and food security in these various communities. The next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much. And that's my name. My name is once again is Folorunsho Dayo Oluwafemi, the founder of Initiative for Climate Change and Renewable Energy Advocacy. You can visit our website to see more of our activities that we've been doing. And as well, I want to say thank you for this great opportunity given to me by the world leaders and as well by the G20 to speak and to share my activities at which I'm doing here in Nigeria, especially in Northeast Nigeria, that we need a lot. Climate change is really eating deep to the people, and the food security, if the necessary action is not being taken, as you and I know that Africa, Nigeria, in a few years' time will become one of the most populous, the population will increase to about a billion plus. So aspect of food security is what we don't have to joke with, and we all need to come together to partner and work together to make things happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Folorunsho Oluwafemi. That was a really incredible presentation and truly enlightening. And I completely agree. I believe there's no one approach to solving food security or climate change. It's a combination of different nature-based solutions and engaging through the power of partnerships. And I think you highlighted that really well through your presentation. So thank you for sharing. And yes, I look forward to seeing what happens in the future. If we're ready for Kevin's presentation, we can pass it over to Kevin for the last one. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you everyone. My name is Kevin Mtai, and I'm from Kenya in a place called Soy. just few kilometers from Eldoret town. And I'm very happy to be in this panelist, to be one of the speaker. So for me, I started one of the initiative in my area like 2 years ago, and the initiative was about environmental school tour. Next slide, please. So what is environmental school tour? So this initiative, which born after organizing environmental tournament in my area, it was during Earth Day 2022. And the reason why I organize environmental tournaments is because people here in Kenya, not only in Kenya, but around the world, they love watching football, especially English Premier League. So I wanted to start one initiative which I can attract a lot of people, not only in my area, but around Kenya. That is the reason why I started the environmental tournament, which I held last year during Earth Day. It was a 1-week event, and it was during election time, so we were able to get a lot of participants. More than 3,000 people, they were able to show up and attended. More than 32 teams, they were able to participate in this environmental tournaments. So after tournament, I say, what next? That is the reason why I came up with another initiative, was to visit mostly school in my area, not only my area, but also around Kenya. That's the time I came up with this environmental school tour. Try to visit school, encourage them in matter of climate change, and also how to conserve nature. Next slide, please. And under this initiative, we were able to come up with some pillar, which was to inspire, especially these kids in school, because we know they are the future of tomorrow. To engage with them, talking to them in groups, started environmental club in most school, mentor them not only in terms of climate change, but also real life, social life. Also educate them, restore, empower, and also transform, because we were trying to visit this school to give them hope, to show them what is happening around the world. Next slide, please. So most of our aim of start this environmental school tour, it was to pass climate education, knowing that, living in a village where most people doesn't believe climate change is real. So I wanted to go mostly in a grassroots area, try to get them that climate change is real and it's not a curse. And also was doing a restoration by planting both indigenous and fruit tree. We are trying to also to improve the way our president was able to encourage that we need to increase forest cover in our area, not only in Kenya, but around the world. And also, another thing was to try to donate vegetable and tree seed, because talking about try to educate these people, especially kids, we wanted to give them knowledge about how to start kitchen garden, not only in school, but also at their homes. And also another one was try to keep girls mostly in school by providing them with sanitary towels and other things. So the time you have been visiting most of this school, we were trying to buy sanitary pads mostly to girls, and also try to donate funds and also socks to these needy students who will help them, that keep them in school and concentrating in reading. And another one was to donate porridge flour and also sugar. So after doing this event, we were able to come up with an initiative of feeding this especially kids in most of the school in my area with porridge during lunchtime and also break time. And another one was giving out climate education reading material. This is in terms of them to have the knowledge and also to make sure that I've been able to get that knowledge and school. And I'm very happy after this initiative, we were able to sit down and we are underway developing a simple curriculum, which will be the time we'll be visiting school, we'll be just giving them. And I'm very happy because after organizing this, we have been able to see stakeholders from the government. They have been able to come and want to help us to come up with a good simple curriculum. Next slide, please. So we were able to visit like last year and also part of this year. I have not updated this slide. We are able to visit more than 24 schools, 1 hospital and children home, and also police station, because I've not concentrated more in school, but also in hospital and also in police station in most of the institutions in my area. Next slide, please. So the impact of the environmental school tour in the community. So what was the impact of the environmental school tour mostly in my community? Because I'm very happy because I was not only visiting my school, but I was also able to get a chance and also visit one school in Uganda. So next slide, please. So one of the impact was we were able to plant more than 500 trees. This is mostly indigenous and fruit trees. And another one, we were able to supply a boarding material, especially to the orphanage and also other school which they were in need of necessary need. And another one was knowing that menstrual is not being a disability but a life cycle. We were able to supply them with sanitary pads, especially to most of the school which you are able to visit, girls, to make sure they have been able to concentrate mostly in school, because you find like here in Kenya, other people have been taking advantage of girls, especially telling them, if you're going to buy you a pad, we are going to exchange with sex. That's the reason why I came up with this. The time I'll be visiting school, I will try to give sanitary towel, especially in most of the girls' school in my area. Next slide, please. Okay, so another one was to try to educate this student and also community at large about what is climate change, because I told you I live in a village where most of the people, they will not believe climate change is real. So I had to come up with another way of try to educate, especially these elder people and also most people in my community, by showing them an example, not here in Kenya and also around the world. Like on Tuesday, we had a consultation in my area where I was able to gather more than 200 people, and also some politicians were able to attend. We were trying to educate them more about what is climate change. So we had a 2 hours that thoroughly discussion, and I'm very happy because they have been able to learn more about climate change. So another one was, apart from teaching them on our environmental conservation and also climate change, we were also able to also tackle other topics like security, real life, and also how to do like a simple agriculture. And another one, through this program, we were able to supply some institution with the blankets, food stuff, which help them to keep them, especially in this orphanage institution in my area. Next slide, please. And another one was we were able to conduct those events where we were able to visit a neighboring school. Like one of the school was known as, my former school was known as St. Joseph Lumino, which we had one of the bright kids in that school. So through our visitation there, we were able to encourage that kid, and I'm very happy because after doing some small fundraising, the kid was able to join one of the best schools known as Lenana High School. Through the program, we were able to secure a scholarship for that kid, and I'm very happy because one of that kid is very happy, and that's one of our successful story. We usually love sharing the time we're visiting most of the school. So in conclusion, the positive impact of both student and community, they have assured us that they will be in the front line of fighting against negative climate change by promise to be one of the ambassador in most of our schools. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm very happy to be in this discussion here.
Thank you, Kevin. That was a really fantastic presentation. And I think what really stood out to me there is the intergenerational approach that you're having. It's not just education for children, but you're working with a kind of a really diverse group of people to encourage kind of awareness of climate change and food security, and also other challenges that local communities are facing. So that's really incredible, really incredible. All of your efforts, to be honest, have been really fantastic to see, and thank you for sharing each one of them. We've had some interesting questions through from the panel discussion. I'm aware that we only have about 10 minutes, so I'll put them to all of you, and you can kind of just jump in depending on where you think is most relevant. So one of the first questions that have come through is, how can individuals play a role in driving environmental change within their own community? And to be honest, I think from having seen all of your works, I think all of you will probably have quite an interesting opinion on this. So I'll open it up to Folorunsho first, and then we can go around.
Yeah, thank you, Chloe, that was a wonderful question. I think how can you join? Can you individually develop, be a change maker in the community? It's very simple. Just look for an environmental, non-governmental organization whereby you can volunteer. And as well, you can decide to just sit down and be a change maker right in your street by organizing or reading books about climate change, and whatever you've learned, you call some numbers of people, you start educating them, let them know about it. Also encourage the planting of trees in your community. What I can just say in a very short while is you can just come out by raise some tree seedlings, either fruit or economical trees, and they're bringing those trees together after they've germinated to a certain level. You distribute it around and monitor the growth. That you started already. Then from there, you begin to look for partners and friends that will join your initiative. Trust me, it can just start as a one person that welcomes the idea. From there, begin to go more and more and more and more and more. And you can also involve the government, what you're doing. Let them know you're also trying to volunteer for them in any aspect of which you can help to develop your community. I think these are different ways, a lot of ways. You can do it online, social media gathering, in various schools, climate talk. You can organize online meetings. So it's a very wonderful, it's a very broad way you can help. Let me also allow my other panelists to share their own ideas as well.
Kevin, do you want to jump in on this question?
I think for me, what I can say is that climate change is interlinked with other issues. So, and knowing that in this field is very broad, so you can find yourself doing a research the way that one of the panelists has said that you can do, hey, you can start your own initiative or you can join other initiatives. Because not all of us are going to be in this field. We have human rights. You can try to fight for human rights beings. You can also try to educate for right for a child, a girl child, or you can just make yourself busy by try to make the community be a better place for other people are going to live and also the future generation.
I think for me, what I'll just say is to believe that climate change is actually real, and there are consequences to not believing in it. Yes.
Thank you, everybody. I mean, I think those are all fantastic answers, and I think you're all champions of change and showcasing that it is possible on an individual level to make a really significant impact to the wider community. And I think if you're right, if you guys can do it, anybody can do it. It's just about getting up and going and really seeing is believing. So yes, the next question is, how can we encourage governments to prioritize environmental policies and regulations? I feel like you all would have had kind of a experience with this, so I'll pass it back over to Folorunsho again to start things off.
Oh, thank you so much. Encouraging governments, government is the main key when you're carrying out any community's activity, because if you're not recognized by the government, you won't be able to practice or carry out whatever community service you're doing properly. Here in Nigeria, the government always want to recognize every non-governmental. In a way that we'll be trying to encourage governments to prioritize and also look at the climate change policies and understand is we bring out climate change ideas, climate change laws, and we sit down with them whenever they're trying to prepare their budgets, prepare their policies. We encourage them because we are the one of few. We speak to the people. Like we have direct contact to the people. We can look at the problems of the people by gathering information or data, then go back to the government officials through the director, through the commissioner, or through the PAMSEC, or then directly we tell them this is what is needed to be done. If this is not done. Sometimes it's not that easy. It's not always that easy until you've been able to make a difference and you've been able to prove to the government that your intentions are real. Number one, as Kevin said earlier, your intentions have to be real. You have to have the mindset of what you're doing is really genuine to help the people, not to because of what you want. Then from there, you cannot communicate with the government. The government will listen to you. You go follow up with letters, follow up with, no, it's not easy sometimes dealing with the government and the policies you keep pushing. These policies is what we understand. Any of your programs you organize, you still talk about it, you still try to encourage it on media, on publications. As time goes on, the government will look at what you're trying to say and say, okay, we think these ideas is going to be fine. Like here in the states, in Northeast states, we're trying to look at how the government is going to have a climate change fund account and climate change fund work plan to be submitted to the World Bank and to the United Nations for us to be able to access climate change fund to carry out climate change activities. The government is looking into this because after a lot of ideas that and deliberation that they've seen and they have seen the effect and the climate change finance and the justice that the people are clamoring for, they've decided that, okay, we think these ideas you've been selling to us, we can now come together and see how to work on it. So this is how we can, persuade the government and with our activities and as well follow up with letters and bring in ideas, what is done from around the world that is good, and we try to bring it down to their tables. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I think I can say something else about how you can encourage us as the government. Yeah, I can use an example of here in Kenya. Like 2 years ago, we were running a campaign, Africa is not a dumpster. And during that time, we were like, try to consult with the government. And one of the minister of the government during that time told us that you find most of the time, like most of the NGO, they don't have anything to put on table to come and discuss with us as a government. That is the reason why with my organization, Kenya Environmental Action Network, we have been able to try to work with the government closely by try to create that rapport and also try to create that relationship with the government by proposing some agenda and also proposing some policy to them. Like last year, during 2020, the time most of the country around the world, they were submitting their NDC. For us here in Kenya as youth, we were able to come up with a consultation where we were able to pass through the NDC very well, and we were able to write our points, and also we were able to submit that document to the government. And through that, during that time, we have been working closely with the government, like knowing that this year we'll be having African Climate Week. And I'm very happy because also most of the youth who are preparing the African Climate Week are most from this field of environment, because the government right now in Kenya, they have been trying to listen, especially to the youth who are doing real work. So I think most of the government, they usually require to see first of all, your work, if you are working, or any initiative which you are doing that is try to have a positive impact, especially in the community. That's what I can say, yeah. But it will depend mostly with the government, because we usually find like some government doesn't want to listen to youth or to activists, yeah. So it depends maybe with the country and also with the government, how rigid they are, yeah.
Asha, do you have something to weigh in on this one?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Okay, amazing. Well, I think you guys are right. It's engaging youth, and again, it's a holistic approach to engaging the government. And I think you can start young and you will make a difference, but you have to be dedicated and committed, and never give up. And then I think we have time for one more question. So can you share some examples of how technology has been harnessed to promote biodiversity and conservation efforts? Asha, I know you're into the tech world, so maybe you have an answer for this one.
It's the Hala app. I think most organizations have tried to tap onto app as a way to kind of share knowledge on regenerative agriculture, or share ways in which farmers can get access to knowledge and information through different channels, either like social media, mobile apps, and other like newspapers and other like online medias. So I think I've seen it in Kenya a lot. I think Chloe can touch on the Hala app a bit, but I think Hala app is one of the examples of organizations that have tried to use technology to kind of diversify agriculture, and also share the knowledge, because I think the Kevin and Folu, sorry, Kevin and Folunasho, I think. Did I pronounce it?
Continue, don't worry. No problem.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Both of them, I think, can agree that in Africa, um, there's a lot of knowledge on agriculture, but then it doesn't always get to the right people. And
Mhm.
sometimes you say technology is the best tool to actually get information from there, but then we struggle with things like tech savviness, and people not being able to get Wi-Fi, or data is very expensive, and it comes with privilege to actually access this information. So even as much as tech is a way of harnessing agriculture, it's also like it also shows that we are still behind in terms of getting access to a lot of information, and it's very expensive to train communities, because then you'll need to tap into doing digital trainings for people. You'll need to invest in getting people smartphones. You'll need to invest a lot of money in making sure they can afford that data and Wi-Fi. And so even as much as tech is most people tap on the old ways of sharing information. So yeah, tech is important, but also it's a barrier. It doesn't. Yeah, it's good, but also it's a challenge for most people, I think.
Okay, yeah. I think for me also, I wanted to mention about Allah, and also with my organization, Kenya Environmental Action Network, we have been working with Nature for Climate. Like out of this, we were able to visit mangrove in Mombasa, where we are doing GCIs, try to map up like different area using drone, and through we were able to learn how to drive a drone, and we were able to visit different area here in Kenya, Nyamira, Oma Bay. Will be going to Marsabit, try to teach these people how to use drone to map out like forest cover and other things. So for me, technology, knowing that technology is expensive, but it has been tried to improve the making most of the work easy, like using drone to calculate how much maybe the forest, uh, how many trees are in that area, how many trees we need to plant, and the way Nature for Climate have been trying to create that technologies that will be having a place where you can see if someone is cutting tree, if someone is destroying the forest, you just need to take a picture and then you send through that app, and then it will just reflect, and maybe someone can go that in very easy. So we are still developing that. It's like a simple curriculum where we'll be showcase it most the time. We'll be attending African Climate Week in Nairobi, I think next month. Yeah. So for me, technology has been one of the best tool, making most of the work easier, and try to improve in terms of nature, and also try to conserve nature.
Oh, I think Calvin said some. I'm also going to put in one or two things. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate Chloe and Ala Hap for bringing this kind of wonderful innovation in finding a way to help the farmers and the people of Africa, especially to go and to start taking the advantage of digital technology and farming, because you cannot underestimate the power of technology. I believe if Nigeria or Africa as a whole has the means, the technology capability, some of this climate crisis that has been happening in some of these places and the effect of climate crisis will not be that much, because these technologies will help us to give us information, data, and as well help the people to prepare ahead, whereby the government themselves would take things very serious. But it's just that, most, as Kelvin said, most African communities also have access to technology, and about almost 60 to 70% of Africans doesn't have access to the internet as well. So that should tell you what we're talking about, because number one is the literacy. You have to train them, you have to teach them how to use it before they can now, be able to use technology. But with the help of the organization like Harley and some other AI information app, this could help a very long way to resolve and to help Africa in aspect of food security and climate change, because a lot of climate change is disaster is happening. Like if we're able to use artificial intelligence and apps and information, because I make use of some app as well to identify trees, botanical names of trees in different species, and I use some other apps to identify geolocation of where I am, and also to identify how I can help the farmers to start up a small farming business in the latest technology. We know this has really helped. If these technologies are being introduced, I'm very sure that it's going to go a very long way in Africa, and it's going to help. The technology is going to drive and help to secure a lot of things, a lot of issues when it comes to climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for those really, really exciting answers to that question. And I agree. I think it's not just one approach. It's the combining the power of people, nature, and technology and education to drive kind of long-lasting change. But you're right, when it comes to technology, there's so many opportunities, but you need to address the key challenges, especially when focusing on kind of rural communities. Asha and Folorunsho and Kevin all touched on the Hala app. I didn't actually introduce this at the beginning, but our organization has been working for more than 20 years, championing different regenerative agricultural techniques in Kenya and in their demonstration farm in Mombasa. And we've actually digitized more than 100 of these regenerative nature-based solutions and made it open access to smallholder farmers in an app designed for farmers by farmers, which is available in both English and Swahili currently on iOS and Google Play. And essentially, it's about sharing sustainable livelihood solutions with smallholder farmers in simple step-by-step and affordable techniques. It's available offline, lightweight, and easy to navigate. And it's actually something our organization is looking to expand through new content, partnerships, and in many different ways that we can kind of improve the power of technology for the better of communities and ecosystems around the world. So I think we're coming to the full hour now. I think we might have run over time, but I just want to thank each one of our panelists for presenting their works and engaging in this really fruitful discussion. And thank you to the audience for your patience with our tech issues. I think that shows that technology is not always easy, but it can bring people together. And I think when it does, there's so much opportunity for long-lasting change and sustainable development. So thank you to everybody for listening, and to Folorunsho, Kevin, and Asha for participating and presenting. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate the opportunity today.
Thank you.